2 a.m. Going to turn things over to meteorologist Lisette Gonzalez, who has the latest on that advisory. Lisette, good morning.
Good morning, Eugene and Lauren, and good morning to all of you at home. And as we take a look at the latest 2 a.m. advisory, we are not seeing much change. Right now, it is still Category 5 and max sustained winds 160 miles per hour. Now, the pressure has increased slightly, but I don't want you to focus on these slight changes in intensity or direction here, as we are still seeing that threat from a major Hurricane Irma headed our way. It is moving to the west at 12 miles per hour, whereas as of 11 p.m. it was moving west at about 13 miles per hour. So it's slowing down just slightly. And as we take a look at the location, it's about 275 miles southeast of Miami, and it did make landfall here along the Camagüey Archipelago. That was around 11 p.m. and the eye is currently moving north of that area at this time. Now, I want you to pay attention here to this yellow shaded area. That is indicating the wind field of the tropical storm force winds. The orange area, that is hurricane gusts, and the red shaded area is indicating the hurricane force winds. And we're going to continue to keep a close eye on this, because although the center of Irma and the core of it may be making landfall somewhere along the Keys as we head into that Sunday morning time frame into tomorrow morning, we are going to be dealing with this massive hurricane, and the impacts will be extending well out from the center. So again, we've been seeing the forecast cone and the models trending a little bit to the west, shifting to the west, but we can't let our guard down, and you all need to be prepared, because we are going to be seeing our weather go downhill, and really the entire state of Florida will be dealing with the wrath of Irma. So here's the current forecast track. Irma is expected to move westward here, likely along or just over the north coast of Cuba as a Cat 5 overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. I'm getting my days confused. It is Saturday, so through this morning at 8 a.m. and then it is expected to take a turn to the north tonight. As we head into tonight, it'll likely weaken to a Category 4, but I again don't want you to focus on this either, because it could be a difference of 5 miles per hour wind decrease. And so really at this point, Cat 4 on the verge of being a Cat 5, it really doesn't make a difference, because we're going to be continuing to deal with the same impact. So here we are, Category 4 Irma forecast to move towards the Keys as we head into late Saturday night into Sunday morning, and then likely continuing towards the southwest coast of Florida. And you'll notice when we take a look at the wind field that we will already be dealing with those tropical storm force winds as we head into early tomorrow, and we're going to be dealing with the hurricane force winds at that time. And then likely the entire state here dealing with those hurricane force winds and those tropical storm force winds as well, as we look at that Category 4 riding up the west coast of the state and continuing moving northward here into Georgia and also into Tennessee as we head into early next week. So right now, the highest threat for those destructive hurricane force winds all across the state of Florida. And as we take a look at the current forecast models, most of the models tightly packed together in agreement that Irma will move towards the west likely, and then take that turn to the north as we head into tomorrow morning and making landfall somewhere here along the Keys likely. And based on the current forecast track and advisory, we're seeing that we could see Irma making landfall again, possibly along the southwest coast of Florida. The Euro, the GFS model are pretty close together in showing that general path towards the west, north, and then likely north up the spine of the state as we head into Monday. So this is a long duration event. Hurricane warnings continue for the Bahamas, northern Cuba, and pretty much the southern half of the state here, extending from Tampa all the way through South Florida, including the Keys, of course. And we are seeing those storm surge warnings and watches are in place for South Florida and up and down the Gulf Coast and the East Coast of the state. And we also have some flash flood watches and flood watches that Dave Warren will have more on in just a second. But I want to show you the satellite image, and there you see that eye that is just hugging the northern northern coast of Cuba. We're dealing with those rain bands already starting to impact our area. And as we take a look at the wide view, I do want to mention that we had Hurricane Katia make landfall along the eastern coast of Mexico, and many are worried about Jose. And of course, there's been a lot of chatter on social media. What's going on with Hurricane Jose? It is a Category 4, and I just want to show you that forecast cone so that you're not concerned about it. It is forecast possibly to move across the northern Leeward Islands, which obviously would be a devastating situation for them since they just had to deal with Irma. But it is forecast to move towards the northwest and curve back out to sea and stay out in the Atlantic. And at that point, not a threat to land. So at least there's some good news regarding Hurricane Jose later on in the forecast period, and obviously not a threat to us here in South Florida. And then we take a look here, a closer look at that jog that Irma was taking a little bit to the west, but now it is getting back on track and heading here along the northern coast of Cuba, and just a catastrophic situation for our friends in Cuba. And many of you have family members there as well. So, of course, we're keeping all of them and our friends in the Bahamas in our thoughts and prayers. For us in South Florida, our biggest threat, this is going to be a wind and storm surge event, regardless of whether we see the center of Irma make landfall just to the west or move just to our east. We're going to continue to see similar impacts. Now we're seeing a higher chance for some heavy rainfall and flooding, because if we do see the core of Irma move just to the west of the metro areas, we're going to be dealing with that dirty side and, of course, all that moisture being pumped in across our area for a long period of time, and also the risk of tornadoes, which is always the case with hurricanes, especially the northeast quadrant. So when can we expect those tropical storm force winds? Well, as soon as late tonight and into tomorrow morning, and we're going to continue to deal with more of the hurricane force winds heading out in time. So storm surge, let's talk about that a little bit. The blue shaded area, meaning that we could see storm surge more than a foot there along coastal Broward County and portions of Port Everglades, Fort Lauderdale, also dealing with that potential extending down into Aventura. When we start to see the yellow, that's a medium chance of dealing with that storm surge, and that's the case even down through coastal areas of Miami-Dade County. However, some of these areas here down into Palmetto Bay could see storm surge more than 6 feet, and 7 to 10 feet possible in those areas shaded in red. So, of course, life-threatening storm surge, something that we are concerned about, and rainfall totals will be ranging anywhere from 12 to 18 inches, possibly even more than that in some isolated spots. And we are taking a look at that potential likely through the weekend and through Monday.